welcome to Antique Needleworkers. My name is Shellie, and this is my channel about cross stitch and all my crafty endeavors, and I'm so glad that you've joined me here today. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you find some inspiration in your making and that you will have walk away with a little bit more than you came with when you're done here today. And if you are a return subscriber, thank you so much for coming time and time and time again. Well, hello, my sweet friends. How are you? It is my post StitchCon recap video. I'm sure that my roll-in kept you entertained and you saw a lot of fun things. And I have so much to talk to you about today. I'm so excited to share with you the fun that we had. Isn't our community amazing? Whether we're having small things or big things, it's always so good. There's so much energy and synergy when you're together with your stitching sisters, isn't it? Well, where to begin? Okay, so I have a lot of things. I'll just tell you in advance. I have things that we exchanged. There are a few things that I exchanged with my friends because, of course, I StitchCon pre-gamed basically. And I had Carrie and Lisa. Carrie and Lisa stayed at my house. And then our sweet friends Holly Neal from Hobbies of Holly and Jen Nasca came and spent the day, and we had such a great time. And of course there was some exchanging of things, and then there were table gifts, and then things that were brought to the table for us once we were at StitchCon. And there's some haul and antiques and lots of fun and lots of stories. So that'll be kind of what I do here today. So, okay, so on Monday afternoon, Carrie came, and oh, I was so excited because you know I've missed her. So the last time that I saw her in person was at Market, but you know what? We weren't running the hallways together at Market. I was in my room because I had to be there with my designs, and Carrie was shopping. So there was not a whole lot of time. So our sweet friend, Alicia, the Fanciful Flamingo, got to spend all the extra hours with Carrie while I was working. And I was glad for that because she lives down in Florida, and you know, we love to see her too. But so she spent some time with Carrie while I worked, so I didn't get to see her very much back then. So, and then she was supposed to go to Hobby House when I went to Hobby House, and her kids had a ringing ceremony at their college. And then she had her surgery, and she wasn't able to come out to Oklahoma. So I missed her terribly because to have some quality time with her, it really had been since, to be honest with you, StitchCon last year. And so to have her here at the house and have her early, oh, I was so excited because, you know, there's nothing like being together with your bestie. But you know, we stay pretty tight. Thank God for the internet. You know, back in the day, you couldn't just FaceTime and you couldn't make YouTube videos or anything like that. So I guess, you know, I really have no room to complain. But wanted to see my bestie. So she came Monday, and I was so excited to see her. If you've been around a while, you might have heard some internal jokings about toast. So backstory, my husband loves toast with everything. Everything. So he'll eat toast during the day. If I make a roast, now tell me if you do this. His favorite meal from childhood is a roast beef with mashed potatoes and gravy and whole kernel corn. There's a whole joke with that too. When he's out, that's how he orders it, and I laugh at him. I mean, you're at the Cracker Barrel and he'll say, yes, and I'd like this, and I'd like whole kernel corn. And I'm like, did you really just order your corn like that? Oh, the funnies, the funnies, the funnies. It's fun. So, but anyway, but he loves toast and gravy. You know, some of the brown gravy that you homemade make off your roast. Well, listen, gravy's a food group for me. It doesn't require anything. I'll eat it with a spoon, but he loves toast. So the first time Carrie came here, she's like, you like toast with everything. So now that's their joke. And so anyhow, so he said, you know what Carrie's getting the first night she's here? You're making roast because she's going to get toast and gravy. So I did make a big dinner. And that reminds me, I have a gift. In just a second, when I'm done telling you this story, I'm going to run and get it. She brought me a beautiful gift that pertains to the toast. So, but anyway, she came and we hung out. And we had talked about, she brought enough crafts to float the Titanic. No joke. You did. You know you did, Carrie. All right? You bet. So she had more crafts than she had clothes, like a real good crafter, my very favorite. So anyway, she had, I don't know, 3, 5, I don't know. We could have made up to like 3 or 5 quilts. I can't remember. And so she brought some other things. And so I said to her, oh, well, I was just going to sit over here. I have a basket that I keep. It's a Longaberger basket that I keep put together. And I keep everything in there to make strawberries at any time. And she's like, oh, I've never made a strawberry. And I opened the basket and she goes, oh, we're going to make strawberries. So that's what we did. She got here in the middle of the afternoon. We dumped her stuff into her room and came right out to the studio and brought her craft things so we could compare notes. And I gave her some gifts. And then we made strawberries. As a matter of fact, I have mine right here. And this is it. We beaded them. This is made out of velvet, red velvet, and some nice wool. And this beautiful ribbon, I have spools and it's not spools, it's like skeins. Vicki, Jeanette from Needlework Press always brings Monahan papers into her room from at market. And if you've never been to Monahan Papers, I'll put a link below. Their website, they have beautiful, and they have a beautiful paper wrapper that looks antique, and the ribbon is just, oh, it looks old, and I just love it. So I taught Carrie to make a strawberry, and her strawberry looks identical to mine, including beading it. Some of the people at StitchCon were like, you need to do a tutorial. I don't know, tell me below. But so it was just very, very sweet, and we had a good time. So this is what we did Monday. And we exchanged a few gifts. And speaking of that, give me just 1 second. I'm going to run and go get that gift that she brought me, and I'll show it to you really quick. Boy, I'm glad I walked over there. I left quite a few things over there. Okay, so my gift that Carrie brought me for staying at my house is this beautiful basket, and it's from the grist mill at Mount Vernon. And so I have a Mount Vernon grist mill cup in here. Don't you love it? And then Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior in Company and Conversation by George Washington. We might have got a few really good laughs out of this. And then, let me put this on my lap. This is a tea towel wrapping a lemon cake mix. So, but it's got Mount Vernon on it, which I'm so excited about because the tea towel definitely will make it downstairs into the kitchen of my mill, as will this bag, and it's a yellow cornmeal. And it's got the grist mill at Mount Vernon. How cool is that? But here's where the toast comes in, okay? She said, well, of course I had to bring jam for Jerry's toast. So she brought cherry and blackberry. Cherry, of course, because George chopped down the tree, and because blackberry is her favorite, and it's one of mine. And so she brought me this gorgeous basket, everything about this. I love it. Since this is split 3 ways, I do a lot of entertaining here in the mill, and I think what I'm going to use this for is to put silverware in. Isn't that a great idea? Thanks, Carrie. It's going to go a long way. She had been with Lily, I believe, thrifting when she bought the basket, so it didn't come from Mount Vernon. So that was a lot of fun, and so that goes along with my toast stories. So if you ever see anything, I did post on social media. If you know, you know, I put on there. So anyway, that's funny. Okay, so what else? So prior to when Lisa, oh no, let me go in order. So it's out of my reach. Let me grab the next thing. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. There's so many things and I put it too far to reach. But so on day one, we hung out, we made strawberries, and she gave me gifts, and then I gave her gifts. And the first thing I made one of these for me, one for Carrie, and one for Lisa. These are knitting bags, and I made them from a Cutter Grandmother's Flower Garden quilt. And then I fell in love with this fabric that I used for the top. It's got strawberries and sunflowers because I thought we need to have the strawberries and the sunflowers in Grandmother's Flower Garden, right? And so then I put a little pin on here that I don't know if you can see it that well. It has a little bird on it. And then each one of us, I put our initials so we could tell them apart. But I didn't just give the case. I gave us all, I got us a pattern, and it's by the Crazy Sock Lady, Kay Linton, and it's the Butterfly Kisses sock. And if you have been around for a while, you know I love butterflies. So I got everyone this pattern, and then I found an absolutely phenomenal yarn dyer, and her name is Faith. And she started a company called Leap of Faith Yarns. And she is on Etsy. And you can find her at leapoffaithyarns.etsy.com. And I bought us all some yarn. And this is the yarn. And it is called Fruit Punch with a Twist. And I've already started my sock. I'll just go ahead and show you that. I'm going to make a tall sock, but you see it looks like butterflies right there. And so it's a very pretty pattern, and I think that the yarn is really pretty, and it has every color that Carrie would love, and I knew Lisa would love, and it screamed summertime because we're together in summer. And then a little butterfly that's within the pattern that Kay put in there, and it's so pretty. Then I got us all a little spinner thing. Theirs is a little different. I had my spinner, and so this, you know, to hold your yarn and you can pull it off the ball. I put that in the basket, and then I put us all, there's a pair of scissors, there's markers, there's darning needles. I put us each one. Carrie got a Sunbonnet Sue, and then Lisa got one with honeybees, garden, you know, theme. And then I got a pink one for myself, and then I gave us my favorite Chalgu needles, and then Hiya flips to do the toes. I put everything that humanly possible they would need to knit their socks in their bag, and that was my little gift to them for coming to my house. And so that was so I gave that to Carrie. And then I'll show you the next thing that I gave, but I gave it to everybody. But of course, my best friend and I think just alike, and she made me a knit bag, of course, with this beautiful moth on there that kind of reminds you of a butterfly, and hers has the bunny. And then she bought me a beautiful yarn set to do cuffs and toes and heels, and then the base of the sock. So I told you the pink would be good, and hers is really pretty pink, and I think that'll make a great sock. But her bag is so pretty, isn't it? It's Tiger Lily-licious. So anyway, she brought me that. And so then, let's see, let me make sure that covered day one. Okay, so on day one, we exchanged that, and then we made strawberries, and we hung out late and talked and talked and talked until we about fell over. And then on Tuesday, we got up and we came out here, and it was so funny because she's like, we're going to make a quilt in a day. And I went, okay, you're the boss, whatever you want to do. She goes, you think we can make two? And I'm like, okay. And so she took to cutting the fabric, and I went up into the loft and I wound up all the yarns in hers and in mine, and I let her cut. Last year I cut all the fabric, so this year she cut the fabric, and we indeed did make a quilt in a day. And it was lap quilt version, but it's 80 by 80, so I don't know, do the math. That's not a lap quilt to me. These are giant. And so they're beautiful. They were from the Sew Sampler box pattern that was given for January 2025. We used our fabric, and Carrie brought the background fabric, and this is the quilt that we made. And I showed on social media. Isn't it beautiful? And so I think that this is going to be my afternoon. I think I'm going to pin my quilt together. That's why I had it sitting over there, is because I need to pin it to its backing with its batting and take it up to the long quilter upstairs and quilt it. So we did this Tuesday, and no, there was not two quilts made. No, 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 no. Lofty, lofty goals. And so we spent the whole day and we made a quilt, and it was so much fun. And she got done. She was on the Juki, and the Juki runs like 1,500 stitches a minute. So, and I was on the Husqvarna, which has got all the bells and whistles. So you got to give it a minute to like cut the thread. You're waiting on the computer, where like the Juki's all so she'd get done with a section and say, go get on the Juki while I do this. So she got done first, and then I ended up with a pit crew. So I would sit at the machine, and I would do a row, and she'd grab it and she'd bring me another stack. So it was a lot of fun. We had just a ball, and we have the quilt to share with each other. Yeah, she has her very own. We each made a whole quilt. We didn't just make one. We each made a quilt, so we will have memories forever for those. So that was a lot of fun. And then Wednesday came, and that is when Holly Neal and Jen Nasca came. And I might just want to interject right here. Along with all of this, my husband built onto his big toy garage out back. He slot car races, and he's had a national event here, but he bought this really famous slot car track that was shipped in from California, and they do the worlds on it. And so there was a semi that brought all the tracks and stuff for the new racing facility he built onto his garage. And so then people from California and Wisconsin and people from his local race team showed up to build all week. And so not only did I have people for me in my house, there were about 10 guys out in the garage. So on top of all this, I was cooking for them too. But it was so okay, because I was really glad to do it for my husband. I love that he has a hobby, and it sure, you know, when you go to retreat, I don't know about you, tell me in the comments what you think, but sometimes when I go to retreat, I have such a good time, and I can go to as many retreats as I want. He is very gracious, he's very supportive. But sometimes, I mean, how many retreats and how many things can I do? And I feel guilty sometimes. And even though this was in my town, I was going to be absent and non-present around my house. And so for him to have a garage full of guys and him to be doing his thing, I was like, yes, I will cook all you want, because then I don't feel bad for being absent. Is it just me? I mean, you know, but anyway, so he had a great time, and there was a lot going on in the garage at the same time. But so Wednesday, Lisa Duffin, Lady Huzzah Presents, our other friend, she came over. She had just spent a wonderful time. She had gone the week before on Thursday, and you know my sweet friend Sylvia from Running with Needles and Scissors, and Miriam, who is a dear friend of all of us. She has a lake house up in Indiana, and so Lisa pre-gamed a week before us, and she was with Sylvia and with Miriam at the lake house, and I am telling you, she told us, I mean, they had the best time. They beaded and they finished boxes and they sewed, you know, colonial needle, old colonial boxes is what I'm trying to say. Old colonial boxes, our friend Kelly and Adam Rivers, they had some of their some of Kelly's patterns with the little boxes. And so they got them there and they stitched them together there, and then they finished them and did the interior finishing. They did peyote beading, they grilled, they giggled, they laughed. I was just so excited to hear about all the fun that they had. I just thought it was so wonderful, and I know that Lisa's heart was so full from it. And then she left there on Wednesday morning, and she was here by about 9:30 in the morning. And she brought gifts for Carrie and I. Carrie will show you her gifts, but I'll show you mine. She brought me one of my favorite baskets, my sewing baskets, and it has a painted lid. I think she actually, if I remember correctly, she might have found this when her and Miriam and Sylvia were antiquing. So this is the lid, and it's a nice big one. And inside of it, there were a couple of darners. There's a beautiful piece of old lace. And then there's some beautiful, I love old spools of thread. I have many cabinets and I love them, but this is one type of spool, a double spool. I had never seen one of these, and there are two of them in here. Aren't they neat? And then there are the small silks. I have a Corticelli silk thread cabinet, and I also have one of their pin cushions with the horsehair pin cushion in the top, and then it holds the little spools, the half spools that sits next to it. Love that. And then a needle case. But this is something I've never had, and this is from Hemingway Silks, and it's a size, I think it's a size 3. And this is pure silk crochet thread, and it is antique, and it is as pristine and a full spool. Never had one of these. Love this. I actually am going to take my tiny crochet hooks out, or I'm going to tat with this because I'm going to make something with it. I love, this was one of my favorite things in the basket. I love all of it. It's beautiful. And then these, I had never had these. So this was such a sweet gift that she brought to us. Well, this one was my gift. And so Lisa brought that. And then on that day, when everyone arrived, I had them on the table. But for Lisa and for Jen and Holly and for Carrie and I made us project bags from Antique Cutter Quilts. And I made us little name tags as well out of little cutter quilt material. And I fully kitted up for us from Needlework Press, Be a Friend. And I got all the called for threads. I put seraphim fabrics in for each of us. I had yard cuts, and so there were 3 different colors. It was antique lace, Dusty Road, is that what it was? I think that's the one I got. And then Chai. They were very similar to one another. And so that way we all got that way we all got something similar in color to what was called for, but I had it in my stash, and it was in my designing stash. And so that way I didn't have to, I just had it readily available. Yeah, I think mine is Dusty Road. Yep, here it is. Seraphim 36 count Dusty Road. And so then there was antique lace, and then there was chai. And so we all got them started, and we were able, each of us, to get each other's initials by the end of StitchCon on each other's piece. So I got all the other girls, and so this piece did get started when we stitched together here at the mill on Wednesday. And then Holly, bless her heart, she is at StitchCon B this week, and so she had to get her initials on all of ours before she left the house. So, but she was able to do that, and so yeah, I gave that as a gift that day to everyone as they came, and we did start that together, and that was a lot of fun. And we just spent the day. Jen was here late. I think Jen left at about maybe 11 o'clock. Holly had to leave earlier in the evening, but I think she was here still till about 7, 8 o'clock. And we just had a glorious day of giggling and just being stitchy friends and hanging out and just enjoying one another's company. We had, I guess, our own little petite day retreat with one another. And our hearts were so full by the end of the day. And then Sally Yoon, bless her heart, she was one of the girls that was going to sit at our table. The next day she got up at the crack of dawn and made it to the line at StitchCon to stand in line so she could go in and get our table because she was staying at the Hyatt. And so Jen was staying at her house at home, and Lisa and Carrie were here. So it was so kind. Thank you, Sally, for going over and making sure that we had a table early, and then it all just began. It was so sweet, and I have things that were exchanged amongst us at the table. Oh, wait a minute. First, let me show you this. This was a gift that Lisa brought, one for myself and one for Carrie. They are little terracotta pots, but they're pin cushions. Is that not the cutest? There's a little butterfly pin in here, and a little flower in our flower pot. So she brought that and gave that to Carrie and I both at the house. And then we went to StitchCon the next day, and let's see, Carrie, her gift to everyone is she used tea towels from Mount Vernon and made each of us a bag. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. And so that is definitely Carrie. And she also, she gave us, she gave us that on Wednesday, not as a table gift. She gave us that on Wednesday as a gift. She made these as table gifts. Aren't they beautiful? With vintage stitching on it. And then inside of it, I love these. She gave these in a box, and I sat here in my sewing room, and I may have ate the whole box the day that my Keeper Club came that this was in. She also gave us some Lori Holt needles in here. And then she made these little, she did our floss bling with antique stitching inside of it. Isn't that pretty? So that she gave everyone at the table that. In our Mount Vernon bags that she brought for the girls on Wednesday, there was a George Washington pin in it. And then at StitchCon, she gave these cabochon blings away. It was so pretty. Let me try to, so you can see that. So she gave these to people that came and visited the table. That was so sweet. And then Sally Yoon, a sweet Sally, she made these little needle books for us at the table. Isn't it so pretty? and she used floss for the ties. It just so creative. She's a creative, colorful, wonderful stitcher. If you watch her, it's Sally Stitches and Flosstube channel is what you can find her on Instagram and Flosstube. And she made us these sweet little needle books. But if you watch her, she has extensive Pyrex collections, you know, glass collections, very colorful, very pretty. So thank you, Sally. That was so sweet. And then this came from Lisa Duffin to the table. And this is really, really neat. A friend of hers made these I'm going to have to open it. They are these embossed floss drops that look like a sampler. It's hard to say. I don't know what they're made from. It's not a floss drop. You could use it as a floss drop, but see, it looks like a sampler. And it's some type of resin of some type. And so then she got us these little easels so that we could sit them and decorate with them. Is that not the neatest? This was in her gift bag, as well as, let me open the rest, a little pair of scissors, some Orchard Valley almonds. I love these ginger chews, and then a felted strawberry. So what a sweet gift. That was from Lisa Duffin, Lady Huzzah Presents. And then Jen Nasca, she got a new sewing machine and she made us these pin cushions. And she also gave us a little thread holder with the year and some patriotic threads to go with. So sweet. And then as well, some just another Button Company pins, patriotic pins, that we could put in our little pin cushion or use on a stitched piece. So that was so sweet of Jen, so precious. And then, you know what? Lisa also handed out her handmade acorn pin cushions. She takes acorn tops and makes little pin cushions with them. And I think she handed these out to a lot of people in the room that day. And then her little floss drop with all of her Flosstube information and Instagram information. And then, let's see, where else? I'm trying to get my head around what goes with what. I've put some things out of place here. I want to get it back together here. Then someone gave me this, and I can't remember. And if it was you, pop it in the comments. I so apologize. It is this Instructions for Embroidering Flowers, M. Hemingway and Sons, Japan Floss and Washed Silks. It was an antique book. Someone brought me this, and I absolutely love it. It's going out here in the mill and going to be part of my display out here. Absolutely love that. And then I'm just going to start going over the things that I have right here that people began to come by the table. Those missing stitches, I love her dearly, and she brought me some 46 count linen. Love that. And then Danielle from Crafted Stitches, Flosstube for Eclectic Stitchers. She brought a little thread holder with a little bling and a thread drop. The Sunshine Stitchers brought some floss drops. Then the Stitching Goddess Design Stitchy Shirts and More brought some stickers and a floss drop. And then the Runner Stitcher, she brought some floss drops. And then I'm not exactly sure, but someone made StitchCon 2025 beaded thread bling. You could use it on your keychain. You could hook it to your bags. And speaking of that, when we got to StitchCon, we had one of these waiting for us in a basket to take. And then this year, Barbara, last year, we got an amazing tote bag. And this year we got the accompanying bag, but this can be worn as a backpack or over the shoulder. It's a cooler. So guess what? You have your tote and your cooler and you're ready to go to retreat. So this is amazing. So that came, right, and I should have showed that right off the chute. Barbara, that last year and this year's bag were my very favorite. So the two together match. So if you have your stitching big tote bag and that, you can carry that one on your back and the other one under your arm, and you can have your drinks and all your snacks in the one, and it doesn't bother. So good. Jen made all of our table things for us and had our little plackets on the table when we got there. Someone came by, and I believe I have this cross stitch is my jam. I think that there's not a, got a strawberry bag, and I had to go find her and tell her thank you. But cross stitch is my jam jar was left, and it's filled with strawberry candies, and then you could use this as an Ort jar. And then also was some beautiful pins, strawberry pins were left, and a beautiful strawberry was made and left on the table for me when I came back one day. And that was such a sweet gift. Just, you go away and come back and like the most amazing things are sitting on your table. Isn't this sweet? Sweet little pouch. And this came from our other table mate, Crystal, who I had not met in person, but Crystal is the PNW crafter. She's Pacific Northwest. She's amazing. Go watch her Flosstube. She's just a absolute, just sweetheart. She put in there, she made those bags, and then she gave us some floss drops. And then she gave us some Pirate Robin mint thread, which matched her bag, and that will tell you a lot about her. Her project bags matched her table mat, matched her, all of her stuff. It was just so, so pretty. And then, oops, I dropped it. Then she did these little beautiful wax seals. And there's a little sticker so that you can use them. And one is a heart of cross stitches. Can you see that? Let me see. And then the other one, she made these wax seals and then put a double stick on the back. And of course, the pink and green matched our little bag. So that was her little table gift to us, and it was so sweet. I am just, hi Crystal, you're so precious. And she actually won in the auction. I made a basket for both Weekend A and Weekend B, and it had all of my current BEs in it. It had the needle card collection. I put some antique buttons, antique lace. I put ruler, thread card, and corner gauge with, you know, all my swag with my logos on it in there. And I put a princess hoop in each of the baskets. So, and she won my auction basket. So I was really excited for her. But so she just loved making our new friend Crystal. And so we really enjoyed her company at our table. And then would you look at this bag? I have never seen a bag done this way. Look, and there's a little pocket. Is this not the cutest? It's a party in a bag. Okay, so you got that in here. And then there are snackies. There are, these are those rings that, let me see if I can get it to do it on camera. You put the ring on, and then I think you activate it. There were 2 of these in the bag. So you could have your glamorous blinky rings. Such a cute little idea. How do I turn this off really quick? I don't want it to run out. Well, I guess it'll stop when it stops. And then there was some Mike and Ike's, a pen to make sure you had something to write with. and some Burt's Bees chapstick, which is always good to have at the table, some DMC, and just some sundry candies in here. And it was so sweet, but this little bag is just adorable. And it was made by Natalie Christian from Charlotte, North Carolina, and her Instagram is natbug-72. And she brought these to our table, and that was just such a sweet little gift. And then as well, we had a gift from Hathaway Stitches, some threads. I believe these are silks, to be honest with you. And it says scan for a free name tag pattern on the back. And so there was that. And then I got a sweet gift of this shell pin. Florida house, name, Shellie, shell, you know. And then just a whole bunch of little, there was the little frog, some little year tags, some more little bling tags. Someone brought a little sewing kit. And then I got this sweet gift. Now, if you were here last year watching my channel, you know that last year during StitchCon, a sweet viewer, Catherine and her husband Jim are both stitchers, and they came from Texas, and she so graciously made me a Bible case, which I think of her every single day when I take my Bible out and read it. And so this year she made me this bag because she said I needed a little special bag for my Florida house, and she even showed me this. She put these gussets in here that are big enough for me to stick my drink and it stand up, and it's got a hard bottom so that I could sit at my pool and stitch. Is that not the sweetest? And then she made some bags for Carrie, and then she also, if you watch the roll-in, the lady with the gym shoes, and I showed the gym shoes, she made those gym shoes. She quilted them. So that is Catherine, and she brought me that, and that was just such a wonderful, I love visiting. It's so wonderful. So anyway, those are all the gifts that came to the table. So we're still giving gifts. We haven't even reached other things yet. So anyhow, but I think what I'll do next, oh, what a wreck. Why don't I show you what I bought in the annex? From Barbara's beautiful annex. I was so excited. My trunk show was in the annex, and I was so proud to walk in, and just proud as a peacock. There was my trunk show, and I was right next to Susan from Sweet Wings Studio, and I was so excited, and of course immediately sent a text off and said, Susan! And she said, our babies are together. They were. It was a perfect spot for my trunk show, and I was so excited. But of course I got to go and get a few things from a few of my favorite designers, and get I did a little shopping too. So the first place that I stopped was at, let's see, let me make sure that I got all these in order. Okay, I stopped and I got from a Harriet's Valentine bouquet from Summer House Stitchworks. I bought that, such a sweet pin pillow, and I love Summer House Stitchworks. I love her fragments in time, and so I got that. And then right next to it was Jeanette Douglas, who is the OG of the universe. I love her. Love, love, love. So I got Soar Into Summer from Jeanette Douglas. And then I got Sweet Christmas Pincushion and Spool. I bought all of the current ones. Let me make sure they're in order. January, February, March, April, May, June. Okay, she has a series that's out, and they're called the Dot series, I believe is what it's called, and they're just a little design. And so I got January, and then I got February. They're just tiny little designs. And then I got March. April. May, and I got June. And I'll continue to get these, but these are just little tiny dots. She's got finishing options at JeanetteDouglas.ca, and they're called Christmas dots. And so it's just a little ornament. Let's see, they're 1, 2, 3. They're about 33. Yeah, I think they're all 33 stitches wide by 33 stitches tall. So you can just make a little tiny ornament of whatever, depending on what size fabric you put it on is how big your dot will be. But I love these. And so I got those. And then, of course, especially after seeing Holly Neal and hers, I got the Kathy Barrick from Velvet to Linen. And Carrie has done an amazing, she's doing a conversion, and I may ask her what some of her conversion is. But I got to jump on the bandwagon for that. That's really, really, really pretty. I think that it'd make a nice statement piece. And then I absolutely, oh, wait a minute. I have some more Jeanette here. Oh, how did I miss that? And one Summer House. I was really checking, wasn't I? This is Delft Blues by Summer House Stitchworks. They were hiding under my other patterns. Isn't that beautiful? And you know blue is my favorite color. And then I got Budding Bouquet number 3, Spring. And then Cozy into Winter by Jeanette Douglas. Those two were from Jeanette Douglas. And then I love La Di Da. I love Lori's work. Oh my goodness, I just realized I'm sitting here holding this. Okay, I got Live, Laugh, Love. And I loved this, needle book that she did called Home. And Carrie loved it too. I said, oh, I'll pick it up for you. Guess what, Carrie? I got to send you a pattern anyway of mine. So I got you it. It's here. I'll mail it to you. So I got Home for me and Carrie. But the finish on this was really good. So I loved it. And so we all were sitting there shopping. Sorry, Carrie. So that was my shopping that I did. Of course, I didn't do a ton of shopping. I'm never going to stop stitching other people's things, although I'm designing myself. That I do have to use my time super judiciously. So where I might have come home with a 2-inch stack of patterns last time, I just had to really, I have to be careful with my time, because that way I can keep up with my business stitching and my free stitching is what I call that. So that is what I purchased, and I showed you what I gave the girls and what we all started. Be a Friend by Needlework Press. I love, love, love that. What else did I work on? I worked on my piece by the Scarlet House, and it is Charlotte Murdoch 1815. And it was so funny because when we were antiquing, Tanya messaged and said, your antiquing would be only that much better if I was there. So I sent her a picture and I said, although you're not here, I wish you were. At least you're here in spirit, because I'm stitching your piece here. And so anyway, I will show you how far I've got since I saw this, you last, and showed this to you. Let's see. Okay, it's terribly wrinkled, and I can't remember. I was hunting down what I stitched this on. Let me dig a little bit. It's all the called for colors except for one, and that is, it called for mascara, and they must have been at Hobby House out of it at the day I purchased, and I got black licorice. So, it's a mystery. I know it's 36 count linen, whatever it is. But let's see, I had the top and the first and the second line in since I showed it to you last. And let me see. Okay, so I did the third line. I got this this border, and the first dog in. So I'd really like to get this finished. I greatly apologize and not, I should probably roll back my own video because I'm sure somewhere along the line, unless it came with this linen, but I don't think it did. But this is what it will look like when it's all done. I'm not going to do the bottom line that says Charlotte Murdoch. I'm just going to stop with the border underneath the dogs and the crowns and the heart. But I love this. You know, I have sweet Chihuahuas. I'm a dog lover too. And so when Tanya put that out, I loved it. And so when I was at Hobby House, I bought that and kitted it up. I'm still digging to see if I can't find what that fabric is. I have absolutely no idea. Unless it came with that linen. It called for dirty Edinburgh linen. So it could be that. But I stitched on that while I was at StitchCon. I also, everybody had their peacorns. Jen, everybody. Carrie, look at this beautiful bag that she gave me. She made these and gave me this bag. She also hand dyed the linen that I have. So this is Carrie linen. It's a 36 count Zweigart. A la you'll never get it because it's Carrie linen. I'm using all the called for DMCs. Oops, I'm throwing things off. And this is the Scarlet Letter, a peacock, a unicorn, and a badger. Also by all of us known as Carrie says, the peacorn. And so beautiful pattern. And it's fun because it's like coloring. And I have this big old bag of DMCs. And so I laughingly, funny, I had I had about 13 stitches. I'll show you what I had done. I had that yellow corner in, but I grabbed it out and I've outlined the top section that has these bubble-like, and now I'm just filling it in. It's hard to see. Let me see if I can't show it to you on the piece. It's this part in the corner right there, and it's these bubble-like things you fill in. And so I outlined all of it, and so now it's just fill in. But you know, I'm lucky I got any stitching done. Carrie kept saying to me with Charlotte Murdoch, "You're counting. Why? We're at a retreat." She was right, and I was. But I wanted to hustle. I really would like to get little tiny Charlotte Murdoch done. But so anyway, this is what, oh, look, now you can see how I was able to outline, got a couple of them filled in, got the yellow. So I'm going to have the corner done. Jen pulled hers out and she had this whole section right there. And I was like, I'm going home and doing that. So I've stitched on that. And then I stitched on one other thing, just a little tiny bit. Carrie and I both had made an order to Memphis Sarah E., the owner of Stitchers in Memphis, and we had orders being carried to StitchCon from Sarah. And I said to her when she got here, "What did you order?" I said, "Sarah said she was bringing you some things." And I said, "And she's bringing me things, but I never asked her what she was bringing you." And she said, "Oh, she's bringing me needlepoint." And you know, Carrie had showed needlepoint before where she had tried it, but I think that she's done the right thing this time. She got a good piece of, she got a really nice piece. She's going to do a purse strap. That's got tigers on it. Clemson, of course, and it's pink and it's beautiful. And it was so funny because I said to her, Carrie, we were sitting here, I said, "Carrie, oh my gosh, I bought you a whole kit, beautiful wools and everything, that's wool and silks to do." It had blue and orange. It was beautiful to do an eyeglass case in a fob for her keys the year before. And it was sitting right over here in a basket. And I completely forgot to give it to her the year before. And I said, "Let me pull it out for you." And so I said, "You can practice on it. It's smaller and an easier piece to do some practicing before you get your beautiful strap to do." And I said, "I will do some I will do some needlepoint with you, and this has got a thread connected to it, so many apologies, but this is a scissor case that I like to, needlepoint's so easy to do in the car, but this, see the beautiful shiny, beautiful fibers? This whole side, this is a, this is, like I said, it's going to be a scissor case, but I've got the bottom part done over here, but I'm working my way up. But when I'm doing something like working in the car, the great thing is the pattern's right there. That's right there on, it's painted on the canvas. And so you get beautiful fibers, and I have some beautiful shimmery fibers in here. I have some beautiful wools. Let me show them to you. And you just choose whichever one. There's a medium, there's a dark, and there's a light. Can you see the shimmer in that? And so I love to needlepoint in the car. And when I don't want to think, it's one of those things, you know, this is silk and wool. Aren't these beautiful? And so I said, let's needlepoint. So we needlepointed that night so that she could get some practice before her beautiful strap. I said, you want to make sure you do your strap really good, so do your this. And so that was fun. So I stitched a little on this side. This side's done, and this side's got to go. I have half to go, but it's a lot of fun. So I stitched on that, and so really that's all the things I stitched on since last week and when all the girls came. And so other than that, we did go antiquing. You want to see my antiques? I'll show you. Okay, so we went to the antique mall, and I'll show you these things first. We went into a booth that had a lot of these little antique postcards. I love to read them. I have an extensive collection of these. I actually, in the main house, have a book, and it's a scrapbook that was made just to keep your postcards back in the day. And I bought 25 of them because I found a honey hole of a booth. Funny enough, I was telling the story. I said, you know, my very first Be Ye was Be Ye Kind, and it had a key, it had a hand, and it had a heart. Well, one of these postcards, a lot of the old hands would always be on these on calling cards and on these antique postcards. And that is where I got the idea for Be Ye Kind. And I don't know if you ever knew, did I tell you this? But kindness was what the hand represented, was what the key represented to my heart, is what the heart represented. So there is a reason why I put a key, a hand, and a heart. It was kindness is the key to my heart. That's where I got the motif ideas for Be Ye Kind came from one of these, and it came from the hand. And because it's always represented with a heart in it, or I'm extending my hand in kindness. Do you see? And so one of these is what gave me the inspiration for the very first Be Ye, which was Be Ye Kind. The key and the heart, kindness is the key to my heart. That's where the motif, that's how I created Be Ye Kind. And it was because of some of these. And in that same booth, they had used old books and old bingo tiles, and they created these little, for scrapbooking or something. And I'm always looking for beautiful ephemera things and backgrounds for my patterns to put in my pattern pictures. So I thought these might be cute. And so I bought those. And speaking of which, there's always linens. And so I bought beautiful laces. Aren't they lovely? Look at this. One of the first doilies back in the day. Did you used to go to Kmart and get the crochet cotton, the real number 10, and make doilies? I did, and I was so excited when I could finally crochet a doily that had pineapples, because pineapples are the symbol of hospitality, and I made them for family members. And so I love this. This is the pineapple motif. Look at this beautiful piece of lace. Just the time and the effort. And this is tatted, and I love it. Look at these beautiful tatted little loops. I love this. And so these will make beautiful for pattern in some of my patterns. You might see them in the future in the background with things laying on them. And then just beautiful linens. I love that. And then I happened upon a booth, and I love this for the mill. Is this not awesome? And it says the Stars and Stripes, and it's got some inspiration. I'm right now working next year being the 250th year anniversary of America. I'm very excited about that, and I'm working on a very special piece for that. And so this is, you know, there's always beautiful inspiration, the Stars and Stripes and such. And look at that weather vane horse. And then E pluribus unum on the eagle up there. Love that. And then I love this. Look at this. These would have been like tea towels back in the day. But look at this. There's English schoolmaster, and then, you know, letters, you know, the alphabet. I just love this. I may use this and make some stickers or something, or this may make it on a pattern jacket somewhere, but I just loved this tea towel. And then I found this other linen, which, oh, look at these beautiful strawberries. So just always looking for backgrounds and backdrops and props and things for my patterns. I felt very fortunate. I found a booth and I bought a 48 star vintage flag. So very beautiful. I think all of us bought one of these. There were a couple in the booth. So I bought an antique flag. And then in the same booth, or no, I don't know if it was the same booth, they had these these aren't old, but they're, well, maybe they were old. Maybe they're new old stock. Some had the stars and some had the 13 stars. But I thought these would be beautiful to display patriotically in the mill. Maybe good in a pattern cover, but I'm in love with this flag. I actually, no matter what, I'm going to drape it over the balcony here looking into the living room of the mill. But I don't want to staple it or put it up on the wall or anything, but I'm just going to put it over there. And some of you saw my picture on Instagram. Fry's Hot Chocolate. Carrie found these. There are 2 of them. But what's a neat story about these? These are going to go downstairs in the mill living room. I have the candy store down there. If you've done the tour, you've seen that. But down there on the hanging down over the candy shop downstairs is a picture that is Fry chocolates. And they were the royal chocolatiers to His Royal Majesty in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So I'm going to put this. I have to wonder if this is from the same company, but these are going to sit right beneath it on the display case there. So very cool. Then as well, I found a miniature sad iron, and Lisa gave us some great advice. You know, if you have little sad irons that are just like this is the topper for this. But if you have sad irons like this, when you do finishing, if you use the big ones or one this size, when you do your finishing and like you have glue to set, or if you've, you know, put some heat to it and you want it to flatten out, sit a sad iron on it. I wouldn't have thought of that, but Stacy, our friend, gave that advice to Lisa. So, but this is the smallest of my iron collection. I've got antique and old irons all over here, but this is tiny. This is the tiniest, and it was very much used. I have to wonder, did they use it for collars and cuffs? I don't know. But for the bathroom over here, this is a shave bowl that I found while I was antiquing, and it has the shave soap that was used. I have the shave brush with a little, it has a little bar in the bottom of it in a shave cup, but I'm going to sit this right next to it in this bathroom right up here. Yeah, thought that was cool. One of my favorite things, my husband and I both, he loves party food. He likes more like dips and stuff like that. My favorite thing in party foods is canapé sandwiches. Love them. And I thought this was really neat. I found a intact, perfect canapé and hors d'oeuvre cutters with all the cutters. But it'd make cute little tiny cookies too, wouldn't it? Little tiny cookies like the moon, leaves. It's got clubs, a spade, but this wouldn't be a canapé big enough for me, because I'll tell you what, I love cucumber canapés. One of my favorites. So I found that. And then I have a bigger one of these, but look what I found. I found a jar of tomatoes. I have a big giant one, and it's sitting over there. I'm going to put this next to it. And there's a really old tomato down here, and it's full of pins and goodness. So yeah, found that. I got to get all the tape off of it and probably goog on it. But so I found a jar of tomatoes. As well, I found this really neat, it's an old postcard, and it says the Army and the Navy forever, and it's patriotic. My daddy was in the Navy. My niece was in the Navy. My brother-in-law was a Navy Seabee, and my nephew was in the Army. And my friend Jen Ali, she was in the military, and you know all those because it's on the back of Be Ye Brave. But I love that it said Army and Navy, because those were the branches that my family served in. So yeah, I bought that, and that's going to be out here in the mill. Could be on the back of a pattern someplace too, but isn't it pretty? Love that. And let's see, I just got a few more things. Being as such that I told you about my husband building onto his garage, it's filled with neon signs, and he's built a diner inside there, because they literally have what we would call a retreat out there. When they have a race, people come and stay in hotels and come here, and they race out there with him for 3 days. And so now he has built Shellie's Diner, so that, and it's got commercial cookware out there for me to cook for them. But so I thought this would be neat. I found a new old stock Gulf gas station attendant's uniform. Isn't that great? And so I bought this for Jerry for his garage. And then my neighbor across the street, his wife passed away, and we try to be a good neighbor to him. But when his mother died, he brought me all of her cross stitch stuff, and he also showed me some of her cross stitch. And these are some of her cross stitch that he's keeping. And then when he was born, she embroidered this with all of his vital statistics. But I had said to him when he showed me those, leave those at my house, Gary. I want to finish those for you so that they're just not loose. And so I have been looking and searching for, I wanted to set the mallards, the ducks, these two pieces. I wanted to do a box somehow. And so I have looked and looked and looked, and look what I found, this cigar box. And the sides of it, isn't it just a beautiful, solid box? And then there's this. Now I'll tell you what I'm going to do for it. This duck, and it says that it's a mallard. I'm going to put a board behind it, and I'm going to mount it on a board. And I know I'm going to cover this. That's okay, because that's not the point. Her duck will be, her mallard, his mother's mallard will be on top. But then when you open it, underneath the lid will be the mallards. But then this other wood duck, I am going to take and pad a board and top the board with it. So the one piece should be on the top, the carved geese, the carved ones will be there, and then the padded inside, and he could put his watches or something in there. But don't you think that that was the perfect box? I've looked for a long time, and I've needed to get this done, but I'm so excited to do this for my neighbor, and before I give it to him, I'll show it to you. But then I have a smaller box that I think I'll put this on, and I think that I'm going to frame his birth record that his mother had embroidered for him, but I was so fortunate to find this box. It is the perfect box for that. And so I found that, and then I found one more thing. Well, it's multiple of them, but this was an old quilt that's perfectly old and crusty, and it is not a log cabin. This, if you look closely, this is a courthouse steps, and sometimes people mistakenly call them a log cabin, but if you notice the center, it'll tell you that it's a courthouse steps. And so I bought the tables. The table downstairs is absolutely huge, and so on the two negative spaces going down the table, I'm going to put these on the Millhouse dining table, and they are just perfectly old and crusty, just how I like them to go for my mill. And that, my friends, I've made it to the bottom of the barrel. And that would be my StitchCon haul, my StitchCon recap, all of the things that we've given and received and done. Let me just say that it was a wonderful and fun event. It's always so fun to see everyone, and Barbara puts on a wonderful event and gives every opportunity for you to just have an enjoyable time and participate in a wonderful service project. This year is to get glasses on the faces of little children that need them. And so she's partnered with a city organization, and it's just going to be great. And weekend day, we raised a boatload of money. So weekend B, I'm just telling you, step up. And so that's not because of us, it's because of Barbara and her wonderful staff and the great things that she's done. It was so enjoyable. The raffle was fantastic. The auction was fun, as always. And just seeing all of your smiling faces, those of you who were there, and having my little StitchCon time with my sweet friends here. My heart's full, and I had a great time. But I think that's everything. That's all the stuff. Oh my, now I have a mess to clean up, ginormous. So I hope that you enjoyed your time with me here today. Do look forward. This is middle of the week. Come Friday the 20th, I will be back on for a very short it won't be a Flosstube. My new release will be coming out. Friday the 20th is the beginning of the summer solstice, which will give you a little clue as to possibly what my new release will be. I will show it on social media, but yet I will come on here onto YouTube and share it with you and give you all the details and all the ways that you can find it. And so you're going to see me again this week, but I think that I've covered everything for today. I do hope that you'll like, and if you have not already, I hope that you'll subscribe, and I hope that you'll come again. But for right now, my friends, I think that'll do it. And so I wish you many happy stitches. Bye-bye now, my friends.